The story of the Judgment Day in WWE has been one of the most unpredictable faction journeys in recent years. What started as a dark, mysterious group built around dominance and mind games slowly evolved into something completely different as members joined, left, betrayed each other, and reshaped the identity of the faction again and again. Over time, the group transformed from a supernatural-inspired alliance into a chaotic but highly successful unit that constantly stayed in the spotlight. Every new member, every betrayal, and every shift in leadership helped redefine what the Judgment Day truly represented inside WWE. In the early days, the faction looked very different from what fans recognize today. The group originally revolved around a powerful presence that wanted to bring a darker edge to WWE programming. However, things quickly changed when Finn Balor entered the picture. His arrival marked the beginning of a major shift within the faction. Balor's influence was strong, and his presence led to one of the most shocking moments in the group's early history. Edge, who had been the central figure leading the group at the start, was suddenly turned on by the very members he had brought together. In a brutal betrayal, Edge was kicked out of the Judgment Day, and the faction moved forward under a completely new dynamic. Not long after that betrayal, the group grew even stronger with the arrival of Dominik Mysterio. Dominik's decision to join the Judgment Day shocked fans everywhere because it involved betraying not only Edge, but also his own father, Rey Mysterio. That moment took place during the Clash at the Castle Premium live event, and it instantly became one of the most controversial and emotional turns in WWE at the time. Dominik attacking his legendary father was something many fans never expected to see. Yet that betrayal was the moment that truly cemented his place within the Judgment Day and started his transformation from a young underdog into one of WWE's most hated personalities. Dominik's addition brought a completely different energy to the faction. While other members carried intimidating reputations or veteran experience, Dominik represented something else entirely. He brought attitude, arrogance, and a willingness to do anything to get ahead. Over time, he became one of the most consistent members of the group, embracing the villain role and leaning into the constant boos from the crowd. The Judgment Day started to feel less like a mysterious dark cult and more like a rebellious group that thrived on chaos and dominance. The faction continued to grow in 2023 when JD McDonagh officially joined the group. McDonagh had a long history with Finn Balor, and their friendship made his addition feel natural. For fans who had followed their careers, it was clear that their connection would strengthen the faction even more. McDonagh brought technical skill and strategic thinking, adding another layer to the group's evolving identity. His loyalty to Balor also reinforced the sense that the faction was built on personal bonds as much as it was on power and intimidation. As the years progressed, the Judgment Day became one of the most successful factions in WWE, but success also brought tension. Championships, power struggles, and shifting alliances started to affect the internal balance of the group. At times, the faction seemed unstoppable, but underneath that success, there were signs that things might not stay stable forever. A huge turning point came after SummerSlam in 2024. In a shocking development, Damian and Ripley were ejected from the faction. Their departure dramatically changed the makeup of the group because both had been incredibly important figures within the Judgment Day. Ripley, in particular, had been one of the most dominant champions and recognizable members of the faction. Removing both of them created a power vacuum and opened the door for new personalities to step into the spotlight. That moment led to Liv Morgan becoming the newest addition to the faction. Morgan's arrival brought a completely different vibe to the group. Known for her unpredictable personality and fearless attitude, she quickly fit into the rebellious nature of the Judgment Day. Instead of trying to replace what Ripley had been, Morgan carved out her own role within the faction. Her presence helped the group maintain its momentum and continue evolving as WWE's landscape kept changing. Soon after Morgan joined, Carlito also became part of the group. His arrival added veteran experience and a unique personality that blended well with the faction's chaotic style. Carlito had always been known for his cool and confident demeanor, and he brought a different flavor to the group dynamic. The combination of established stars and rising talents kept the Judgment Day feeling fresh and unpredictable. The faction's roster continued expanding with the addition of Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Both women brought incredible talent and athleticism, strengthening the faction's presence in the women's division. Rodriguez's power and dominance made her a formidable force, while Perez represented the next generation of WWE superstars. Their inclusion showed that the Judgment Day was not just about maintaining power, but also about constantly evolving by bringing in new members who could push the group forward. However, as with many factions in professional wrestling, not every alliance lasts forever. In mid-2025, Carlito's contract expired, and he was quietly removed from the group. His departure marked another change in the constantly shifting lineup of the Judgment Day. While the group had grown used to members coming and going, each exit still reshaped the internal balance and forced the remaining members to adapt. The biggest shock came on the March 9, 2026 episode of Monday Night Raw. In a moment that stunned fans, Finn Balor was betrayed by his own Judgment Day teammates. Balor had played a crucial role in the faction's evolution and leadership, so seeing him turned on by the group he helped shape was a massive moment in the ongoing saga of the Judgment Day. Betrayals have always been part of the faction's story, but this one felt especially significant because of Balor's long history within the group. With Balor gone, the current version of the Judgment Day now consists of Dominik Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, JD McDonagh, and Roxanne Perez. This lineup represents yet another transformation of the faction, blending established villains with rising stars who are eager to prove themselves. Even though the group looks very different from how it started, the core idea remains the same: domination, loyalty to the faction above all else, and the willingness to turn on anyone who no longer serves their interests. Interestingly, Dominik Mysterio recently revealed that he originally had no interest in joining the Judgment Day at all. During an appearance on the Collection podcast, he opened up about how hesitant he was when the idea was first presented. According to Dominik, the early version of the group simply didn't feel right to him. He described it as strange and overly theatrical, something that didn't match what he wanted to do at the time. Dominik admitted that he resisted the idea for quite a while. He explained that the original concept of the faction felt awkward and somewhat forced. In his words, it seemed weird and hokey during the early stages. At that time, the group's presentation leaned heavily into dark imagery and dramatic storytelling, which didn't immediately appeal to him. Despite those doubts, something eventually changed. Dominik explained that once the core members of the group started spending more time together, their chemistry began to develop naturally. Outside of the ring, they started bonding, traveling together, and building genuine friendships. That real-life connection slowly translated into their on-screen performances. According to Dominik, that chemistry is what ultimately made the Judgment Day work. The members didn't just act like a team in front of the cameras, they actually enjoyed being around each other behind the scenes. That level of comfort allowed them to create more authentic moments on television, which fans quickly responded to. Dominik also pointed out just how successful the faction has been throughout its history. He emphasized that there was rarely a time when the Judgment Day didn't have at least one championship within the group. At several points, multiple members held titles at the same time, covering the faction in gold and proving their dominance across different divisions. He also joked about how chaotic the faction's history has been, with members constantly being removed and new ones joining. In many ways, that constant change has become part of the Judgment Day's identity. The group has never been static. Instead, it thrives on unpredictability, betrayals, and reinvention. Looking back at the journey of the Judgment Day, it's clear that the faction has gone through multiple phases. What began as a dark alliance eventually turned into one of the most entertaining and controversial groups in WWE. The constant betrayals, shocking alliances, and championship victories have kept the faction relevant year after year. With Dominik Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, JD McDonagh, and Roxanne Perez now leading the current version of the group, The Judgment Day appears ready to continue its legacy of chaos and dominance. Whether this lineup remains stable or eventually turns on each other like previous versions is something only time will reveal. But if history has taught fans anything, it's that the Judgment Day is never predictable, and betrayal is always just around the corner.